This is me, Dr. Erlangelisme. Erlangelisme. I'm here with you. Um, and I hope that everybody can see me live. Okay, I always said that when I'm live, everything will be set up. I don't have to move around. If you see me moving around, it's because I don't know what I'm doing yet. I'm learning the system. Good afternoon. I hope you had a wonderful weekend and you are ready for a beautiful week and and things are working out for you. So good evening again, good evening, bonsoir. Sou pale Creole, mwen se Erlangelisme, Dr. Erlangelisme, ki la ansama avek ou. Semaine dernière, last week, I started talking about the weight we carry, and we talked about trauma informed parenting. And that we started to discuss about, I'm trying to look at the camera here. I don't know why I'm not looking at the camera. Okay. So we started talking about um, how trauma affects our brains and affects our children's brains, and how we have a responsibility as parents to make sure that we parent intentionally so that they do not experience the trauma or the negative effects that trauma can have on them. So we started talking about some of the effects that a traumatic brain um, may how it might present itself, and tonight we're going to kind of talk about that and then come back and talk to you about what a safe brand looks like. And also, we'll talk about some of the things that we can do as parents, as teachers, as community members to make sure that our children are well and safe, because all of us want our kids to be well and to be safe. So when we talked about a brand, we talk about how learning can be impeded. How when a brand is triggered, it's hard for someone to read. And one of the to learn. I mean, one of the examples that I provided is that um, when you are in a traffic jam, cars cannot go up or down because we are stuck. So when kids are triggered or the brain is affected by trauma, it's like they are in a jam, in a traffic jam. So our work, our role as parents is to try to teach them how to, first of all, how not to allow them to be in that position, what we can do as parents to make sure that we reduce the risk for those kids. And also, if they were affected by trauma, because I'll talk a little bit about how generational trauma can impact them. What can we do as parents to lower, the effects of trauma? And it's not just parents, as I shared, teachers can do that as well. So it's really important that we talk. I'm looking for my notes here. Just a minute. We think about parenting in a way that we think about everything else, because although we can have children, it takes a whole lot to raise them so they can become the people that they were intended to be. Parenting is not easy. It's not for the people who are faint at heart, but it is something that is doable if we have the right support. So last week, when I talk, I shared that the brain not only can be hijacked and kids cannot learn, but sometimes the behaviors that we may see that we don't like may be a trigger response. It could be a response because of the experiences that kids have had. And I was talking to someone recently, and the person said, well, my kids never experienced trauma. I did. Well, although they may not have experienced trauma directly, but if we experience trauma, there is a way we transmit that to them. Um, and one of the examples I gave was that something happened to me, and I was not even thinking about it. In my, consciously, I was not thinking about it, but I got triggered because of a game that I was doing with my child, with my son. And then I realized, oh my God, what just happened? And when I thought about it, I could trace that back to something that happened to me a while back. So we do transmit the things, especially when we are not aware of them, and when they are not treated. If we experience trauma, there is a very, a chance that we are transmitting that also to our children. So it's very important that we understand that and we say, okay, what can we do? So last week, as I said, I talked about say a triggered brain, and now we're going to talk about safe brain. What does it look like? Um, what do we do to make it safe for them? The safe brain activates when we feel secure. If a kid feels secure, the brain will be safer, and will be connected and will be calm. Okay, they can focus on learning and growth rather than survival. So when we are triggered, we are everything we do is to survive. It's like we go back to the way we were created, because the brain was created to protect us against threat. So the kids are just like us. When we are threatened, we do certain things. We're getting ready to fight or flight or phone. So the kids do the same thing also. Although they may not be able to tell you, but a kid, one example that I remember, there was a kid, they asked him to read, and he could not read. He never learned how to read. The way he acted, he just fought with the teacher because he did not want to feel like he was dumb. So it, you know, we protect ourselves when we feel cornered. And that kid in that scenario, the only way he knew how to do it was to fight. Okay, some kids just don't talk, and that's when they are running away from the problem. So when they have a safe brain, when they feel safe, they feel secure. If they make a mistake, they know it's okay. It's not the end of the of life, because they are connected and they are calm. So they are open to learning new things. They are able to feel, and then they can be curious and they can be creative because they are connected and they feel secure. And the connection that they have with others is authentic, so when we don't have all the triggers, what we do is authentic. So it's very important to remember that. The other thing also that when you have a safe brain, you can do, you can listen, okay, with genuine curiosity. And as parents, when we are not triggered, also, we can listen to our kids and then help them understand, oh, okay, I understand where you go, or where that is coming from. How can I help you with it? But when we triggered, guess what? We don't respond the same way. We yell, or we dissociate. One thing that I think a lot of parents are doing without thinking about it is dissociating. What they do, they go on their phones, they play games, or they talk to other people because they want to dissociate. They just cannot deal with it. Okay, so when they are not safe, or when parents are safe, they see challenging behaviors as communication, and now they're going to ask, try to find out what's going on so they can support, and they respond with thoughts rather than reaction, okay, or impulsivity. Sometimes I respond to things impulsively because in that moment I'm not in my safe brain. And those are things that we need to try to recognize and then say, oh, okay, Alange, what do you need to do? Or what do you need to do? So it's very important. And the other thing also we do as parents, when we are in a safe brain, we can find creative solutions to problems. Because remember, when we talked last week, we said that we need to teach them how to solve their problems. We teach them that. But if we do not have the skill to teach them that, because we are not regulated, the word is regulated. If we cannot co regulate with them, then we cannot help them learn how to come up with creative solutions to their problems. Okay, so think about how different parenting feels when you are calm versus when you are stressed. You come home from work and it was a very um nice day. You did whatever you needed to do, and then it's early. You came home early. The traffic was not bad. When you get home, you may not have to cook dinner because dinner was cooked, or you pre-prep. So it's an easier day. Think about how you react at that time versus when you're stressed. So those are the things as parents we need to think about for us so we can guide our children on how to respond them when they are stressed. The difference you will feel, it's because you are feeling safe. Your brain is feeling safe, and then you're not in a survival brain. Okay, so I will ask if you can to take a moment right now to just notice how your body feels when you calm and connected. Just think about it. Maybe you breathing a little deeper, your shoulders are relaxed, or you feel more present. So this awareness of what your safe brain feels like physically is your first step toward recognizing when you're shifting states. So when you can stop and you understand where you are, you will know when you are changing, so you can teach your kids when they are reacting to stuff also. So it's very important. So let's talk a little bit about how trauma shows up in parenting. Um, trauma, unhealed trauma often shows up in our parenting in predictable ways. There are certain ways that we know this is how it happens when we are not feeling safe, right? One is emotional reactivity. What does that mean? We react to everything. Any small incident, right? Feels like an emergency, feels like a big thing that you have to deal with. You have to deal with. Your child's behavior triggers intense emotions in you. So when you see that, you have to start wondering, okay, what's going on inside of me? You find yourself saying or doing things you later regret. Oh yeah, I know, when that happens. Sometimes I say something that I did not really mean because I'm triggered, and we need to understand where we are so we can make the change. The other thing also, we can do. I'm speaking Kringlish right now. I said nous capable because I'm trying to speak both English and Creole, and sometimes I forget that I need to say something in Creole. So c'est très important, ça me saute dit, le nous triggered, le brain nous safe, nous prend pi bon décision, nous capable koute ti moun nou yo avec curiosité, et puis nous le ti moun yo font bagay qui pas bon, nous capable ouais ça, nous capable parler ensemble avec yo, et quand nous ouais ça, yo fait c'est communiquer, après c'est communiquer ensemble avec nous, et puis nous capable bay réponse qui plus, qui on réponse qu'on pense sur les pas un bagay ou réagit, et puis le fin ou joindre en pile façon que vous capable et joindre solution à problème ou yo. OK? Mais cependant, le ou agi ou agi sans pas avec trauma, et ou capable ouais que toute bagaille ou réagit, tout ça ti moun dit, tout ça qui passe ou réagit, et n'importe petit accident qui passe, n'importe petit bagaille que ti moun nan fait son gros causé ou toujours sous you know, le fini, n'importe ça ti moun nan fait faut fâcher, et puis ou dit bagaille qu'on on pral regret plus tard. The other thing that we do as parents is also overprotection or withdrawal. Overprotection, we feel like we have to do everything for our child or children, right? And or we remove ourselves. That's what I talked about earlier when I said dissociation. Some of us just dissociate, and do other things. So you might struggle to let your child take age appropriate tasks or risks, right? There are certain things that at a certain age you should not be doing for your child. I see parents who are feeding their kids, when they are in kindergarten or first grade. We need to allow them to teach them how to do that themselves. By now, that's something they should learn how to do. Or we might find yourself emotionally checking out when you're overwhelmed. Okay, so they talk to you and you cannot even answer because you're so overwhelmed. You're checked out. You're not there anymore. So both of them are protective responses from your survival brain. It's not that there is anything wrong with them, but as a parent, you want to be able to be present, as much as you can. And that's the reason we need to learn how to regulate ourselves so we can always be at our best as parents. The other thing also that we see that happens when we are parenting, with trauma, how trauma shows up is difficulty, with trust and connection. Okay, so what do we mean by that? First of all, it's very challenging to be present fully, and that can show in so many ways. And one way that I shared was, using your phone. But sometimes it's not the phone. Sometimes it's Netflix. We watch Netflix 24/7 because we cannot connect with our kids because of what the reaction that our brain is doing. The other thing also that we may do, we cook, we clean, we do everything in the house, so that we don't connect. We don't have time to connect. The other thing also that it does, it we have difficulty reading our child's needs, because um we are so triggered, you know. So it's very important that we, when we see things like that, we either um, try to find out what's going on, or go and talk to someone that can help us understand what is going on. They are therapists, they are life coaches. I am a life coach, and I work with parents on those strategies that we need, that can help us do better. Guess what? When people have some of those things, I've done them. I just told you that it's not just um, something that um, I am exempt from. I have done some of those things, and that's the reason now I'm looking back and I realize, oh, I wish I knew, or I wish somebody told me. I wish I had that conversation. I wish I had someone like Dr. Elizabeth to come on Facebook and just talk to me about that. But I really did not know at that time. The other thing also is finding, like when you have difficulty with trust, it's finding it hard to be vulnerable and authentic. You know, some people cannot be vulnerable. They always have to up, like, oh my goodness, I'm the best parent. I do this, I do that. And if somebody says something negative about their parenting, they feel like it's the end of life. That was something also that I experienced also. And the reason, because I just wanted to be a good mom. I wanted to be a good mom, and I wanted people to see that. So to be vulnerable was very hard for me too. So we need when we have that issue, it's hard to connect with other people. It's hard to be authentic, because then you're trying to be somebody that you are not necessarily at this time. And as I said, it's okay, because those behaviors are protective behaviors. But as parents, we need to work on our things so that we can be the best that we can be at this time for our children. Let me give you an example of what I just talked about. Like, a child just spills a milk at dinner. A parent in their survival brain might react with, "Why are you being careful? Now I have to clean this up." This might slim down, they might slim down paper towels and make comments like, "This is why we can't have nice things." Okay, how many of us are guilty of saying things like that, right? The same scenario with a parent and their safe brain might look like, "Oops, spills happen. Let's clean this up." So remember, listen to what it says. Let's clean this up, meaning that you don't do it by yourself. You get the child involved also in the cleaning, because you're teaching them as well. So you see the difference here. The difference isn't about being a good or bad parent. It's just that which part of your brain is running the show at that moment. So when the brain that is in the survival mode is running the show, it will do things that hurts as opposed to to teach. I always explain to parents that the word teach comes from a discipline, comes from the Latin word that means teaching, right? Punishment is very different from teaching. A lot of parents hit or yell or do as a punishment. Punishment does not really go far, because what punishment does, it stops the behavior. Now, if you're lucky, sometimes you're not lucky, it doesn't stop it. But the punish when you use punishment, um, it may stop the behavior, but when you're not there, you did not teach the skill that they need to go on and do what's better, right? But when you use your safe brain and you teach or you discipline, listen to the disciples were with Christ. That's where the word discipline comes from. Disciple. When we disciple, we dis oh, I don't know how to say the word. Okay, when we give them discipline, we not only stop the behavior, but we teach them how to do it even when you are not there. So it's very important as parents that we look at some of those things so we can respond in a way that is helpful to our children. I just hope this was helpful to you. Next week, we will talk about some healing practices, and then also we'll talk about some things that you can do for not only younger kids but also the teenagers, because those are very different. There are different ways you can discipline your teenagers versus the younger ones. So next week we'll talk a little bit about more about that. Guess what? If you um, feel like you learned something from this session, please like it, make a comment, and I'll go back and I'll respond to the comments because now I cannot see the comments. But please respond and then share with other people. It would really be an honor for me to know that you are sharing, that you are enjoying it, and then I will respond to whatever questions or comments that you made. I am so happy that you were here with me. My name again is Dr. Erlange Elisme. I'm the CEO of Elisme Consulting Services. I work with parents, I work with organizations to teach trauma responses. I don't just tell you what trauma is, but I try to tell you what the response is and how we can work together to make life better for our kids, for ourselves, for the people we love. And I will see you next week. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And don't forget to share with your with people. Okay? Thank you so much for being here. Bye bye. Ciao. Now, the trick is I need to find out how to turn this off. Okay. Bye. Oops. Let's see. This thing is telling my age. Okay. Carlo. Okay. Uh, 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 okay. Oh, okay. I got it.